But we'll go ahead and get started here. So the document in front of you is what I'm hoping to be able to give to them on that day. So when they arrive and they register, they'll be handed this. I'm pretty sure Shelby's probably going to put it in one of those binded, booklets like we use for the Paris. So it'll be real nice for them. But just take a look across the front. It's just the logo, all of our logos there at the bottom. Some of the feedback that we received from Conemaugh Valley last year when they were engaging in the assessing to the core, this was some of the feedback. I didn't put particular names only because I didn't get like specific, permission to use them. But I felt that having the comments off to the side was a nice, testimony that, this is going to be some good work. And it was from their own. So when you turn to the first page, I just drew up just a basic opening letter. So if you want to just take a moment to look through that, if you could do two things, make sure that it sounds right, make sure there's no grammatical errors. I did have Shelby do a sweep on it, but I just always like to have another set of eyes just to make sure. So go ahead and do that. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Does it look okay? Okay. Good. Okay. On the next page, I just wanted to provide them an overall agenda of the day. So at the top, I'm just recapping basically what was explained to them in May. I'm just bringing that back, to the front of their brain of what we're doing here. So basically that it's comprised of 5 virtual learning paths connected to professional learning communities, indicating that in May they selected one of the communities through the PD planner to drive their professional learning for the school year. I'm just indicating that we will begin the day with a brief overview of each of the communities at the request of the district to provide them with a broader understanding of the learning and collaborative efforts in each of the cohorts and to meet you as their learning facilitators. What I did not put in there, but it will just be something that we'll announce is, if after that they decide that they want to switch, that they would need to do it like right then. And I'm hoping, please, crossing fingers that they don't switch. I just, but, that's what Dr. Mastillo and Dave Lehman wanted. So we'll give them that opportunity there. If you could remember to have sign-in sheets for each of your sessions, because remember, if you're going to have additional people or you're going to have additions and deletions, we're going to want to come back quickly to make sure that we move them out of communities into something different, because they're going to want to be able to have that access right away. Okay, so their name and their email address. Okay. Okay, and then I'm basically just recapping that the PLCs are approximately 6 hours with 4 hours of collaborative community efforts through the PLC. I listed them there just to kind of recap that, and then I go right into the timeline for the day. So we start out, I have in my notes, and I'll be sending this off to them as well, to the superintendents, to make sure that I definitely have the times right. From 7:30 to 8 is breakfast at the Conemaugh Valley Gymnasium. From 8 to 8:15, we can have opening remarks from the superintendents. From 8:15 to 9 is when we'll do our overviews of the professional learning communities, just as we did here for the administrative teams. I'm not looking for anything else. It's just a brief, here it is, okay? What I am going to do, so hopefully now that your quality assurance has been completed, what I'm going to do is give them a syllabus. What is on there now, I'm going to put onto a Word document and add to this, so that they have the syllabus here. So you can say, referring to your packet, to classroom management or to future ready learners, or, all of those things, okay? So if you have concerns about that, like, oh my gosh, my syllabus isn't, because I'm still making changes, let me know, because I'm probably gonna do a lot of that work this afternoon, okay? So each team is gonna have 10 minutes, okay, to go over their professional learning community. So that should take us to 9 o'clock. I'm hoping to keep a really strict schedule. Okay. Then at 9 o'clock to 9:15, we will be transitioning. Now, at this point, I really want Dave Lehman to solidify where are we going, because right now all he's telling me is the library and the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classrooms. So for now, I just have the PLC lead will announce the location, which we will do there. But I'm hoping to have that information to you by Monday so that you know where you're going. Now, he did say that all of those rooms, and we've been working with Bridget Leonard here in IT, because she also is contracted with Conemaugh Valley. So that makes a nice thing. Ensure is their contractor as well. That technology will be ready, your internet will be open, YouTube will be open, and all of that, okay? So, and she will have somebody on site as well. All right, 9:15 to 11 is when we will do the overview of EduPlanet 21, which we're gonna talk about here in a second, and that will be provided by you in those spaces, okay? We will be using a learning path. You've been added to it this morning. Okay, it's real simple. Don't freak out. You know EduPlanet probably better than what you think. Okay, so just, you'll be fine.
What are the asterisks for on the upper part?
Those are the leads for the day. So if you have an asterisk beside you, you're the one that's going to be on site, because other folks are probably at August Institute training. Okay, so for classroom management, we have Erica and Brad. For empowering future ready learners, I have you asterisk twice, don't I?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
You are expected to be in both places.
Just like yourself and half my that's really why I was curious. Like, I don't really understand why I have extra.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
So you'll be with
Laura for future ready.
Right.
Which makes sense. Sure. Okay.
Meaningful assessment. Oh, Jen, that's you.
Yeah.
So when we met, you know what? I've got it with me. So.
Well, I know the grade learning instructional practices.
Oh, you're double too. What the heck's going on here?
You have Julie at Meaningful Assessment, and we have a few people, right? Yes, Julie coming.
Hold on. This is what I had. Now this was the agenda we went over that day. Okay. I had classroom management, Erica and Brad. Empowering future ready learners. These were those green highlights. Laura, Brenda. Meaningful assessment, Jen, Hearn, Kane. Transforming instructional practices, Rita. Is that not right?
It's not what this says. You have Julie. Are you bringing Julie now?
No, I'm not. I don't know why those asterisks didn't transfer right, because I basically just cut and pasted from this and pulled it over and adjusted the font. So
Jen needs the asterisks under Meaningful Assessment.
It's actually there. It just got.
Oh, it's cut. I see, it's cut. Okay.
Which one do I go to? Do I go to meaningful assessments or transition instruction?
Because either way, she's leaving somebody alone. Right,
Yeah, meaningful assessment, I would say, because Rita's on transforming instructional practices.
Okay.
So Brenda, I think I have you asterisked on that under meaningful assessment, as well as Jen under transforming instructional practices, only because you're going to be on site.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? That you'll
Yeah.
be at the Valley Network. So Brenda, on this, I will take your asterisk off of meaningful assessment.
Okay.
And Jen, I'll take yours off of transforming instructional practices.
So does that mean I'm by myself?
Yes.
But it's a small group. Okay.
Well, no, you're with Erica for, oh, no, you're not.
No, Erica's in the other one.
You're on your own and Rita's also on her own in those two.
Does anybody want to float? Kind of back and forth in the PM. And the only people that could float would be Brenda. You could float if you wanted to.
I'll do whatever you need me to do. If you need me to float, I'll float.
Jen, do you feel more comfortable with that?
I would feel more comfortable with someone else if
Mm-hmm.
possible. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Yeah, and then Laura's in future ready. So I'll put Brenda to float. Do you feel like you need Brenda more in the AM during EduPlanet or in the PM during PLCs?
I think the EduPlanet part.
Okay. And then you'll be okay on the PLC?
I think so.
Okay. You good with that, Brenda?
That's fine. So the teachers are starting in Johnstown and driving up in Indigo.
Yes. I know.
I don't understand. What's the logic?
I think it's just because they could not decide that. I don't think one wanted to just have it at one place. Do you know what I mean? And they wanted, it's just because it's shared, I think.
It's just enjoy it.
Yeah. Brenda, what do you think about Rita with transforming instructional practices? Was she here for that meeting when we met with all of them? She was not. Okay. Maybe she followed up with Janelle. I didn't do a follow-up or anything with her on that. So I'll touch base with Rita on that. And then the growth mindset, Janelle will be in there. She'll be on site in the morning because I'll be at August Institute because we have our keynote speaker that comes the second day. And then I'll be on site in the afternoon at Blacklick Valley. So, but if you need anything in the morning, I will have my cell phone and all of that with me. So that's why there's an asterisk beside Janelle. Okay, Jen, you good? You comfortable? Okay.
Okay, one more question. When
Yep.
we're speaking about our overview of the PLCs from 8:15 to 9, is that going to take 10 minutes each?
No,
Okay,
I just,
checking, 'cause I
yeah,
don't know that it, but I envision it needing that long.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure that there's enough time.
Sure.
Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Yeah.
if you don't fill that entire space, it's okay.
Okay, and is that talking about the actual learning path?
Yep. You know, like
Okay.
whenever we were here with them and we
Yes.
just basically said, like, here's the syllabus, here are some things that you're going to be engaging in. That's
So it's
all.
more of an overview of the learning path than the PLC.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because we're going to dive deeper, obviously, in the PM
Sure.
for PLCs.
Okay.
9 to 9:15 is when they will transition. Did I already say that? Yeah. So then that's where I need to get further information, like where are we transitioning to? You know, is assessment going to the library? Is transforming instructional practices going to go to the grade 4? Where are we going? So I need to follow up on that. 9:15 to 11 is where you will do the overview of EduPlanet, which everything is in here. So we'll do that in just a second. Lunch then is from 11 to 12 in their cafeteria, and then they travel from 12 to 12:30 over to Blacklick Valley. I am anticipating that this 12:30 to 3 is going to get crunched. I'm worried about that. So I'm hoping that they get in cars and they carpool and they get there and situated in where they're going. John Mastillo has also not told me where we're going. Okay. So that needs to be established as well. Okay, so once I get that, the next page then is I just wanted them to know who you were by face, what community you were engaged in or a facilitator of, and then your contact information should they need to reach out to you. So just make sure you look at yourself and that all of that information is accurate. Okay, and then that's basically it for kind of that opening piece. Okay, so in the Valley, or in the learning path, you can use this as a guide. We're not strict on you using this learning path to drive the day, but everything is here for you. I wanted you to be able to have a linear, look at how the day was going to progress. So what happened to it up there? It's not up there. Innovation Lab? Can I zoom and do that at the same time? I
You
should
should be able to share screen.
evaluate Apple TV and then Innovation Lab. How come it's showing that?
Schedule. Click back to meeting.
See, that's not even what's showing on my screen though.
Oh. Okay.
So is it over here? Maybe. No. I don't know. Hopefully this is what I'm recording. Okay, well, you all have computers with you.
Yes.
So if you go into EduPlanet under the learning paths, you'll see Valley Network Embarking on New Horizons, the name of the learning path. If you click on the syllabus, just kind of do a brief, overview of that. You will skip module 1. You don't need to go over that with them, okay? Because you're going to go through all of that when you go over EduPlanet. Okay, so you will start with module 2, where it says Seeding the Valley Network. Basically what you're doing is you're just explaining that, the 2 school districts came together with the same overarching goals to focus on redesigning the educational ecosystem of both of its students and teachers. You'll talk just a little bit about the goals and how that relates back to your particular content area, because you're going to be with your PLCs. So you can say, with classroom management, for example, it pretty much hits all of those: data-driven decision-making, transforming instructional practices and approaches to student, designing roadmaps to success. Okay, so you can talk a little bit about that. And then you could just have them maybe read that next part. You don't really need to get into that. It's just background information.
And now have computers.
No, they will not. This is what you're going to be projecting.
Okay.
Okay, that's why they have this, because all of the activities will be in here.
Okay.
Okay. Then we talk a little bit about what EduPlanet 21 is. Again, it's a global learning platform as you know it. It's a social learning platform as well. This is where they will do all of their learning. This is where they will engage with their peers through the communities and so forth. I put a little bit of information, background information on EduPlanet if they wanted to know that, we, the headquarters are here in Mechanicsburg, but we also have 3 regional offices in San Francisco, Brisbane, and Concord.
We need to go there.
Yeah, I agree. We need to go visit. And that currently EduPlanet 21 is pretty expansive. So just so that they know that they are really part of a larger network. And then we start into the navigation of EduPlanet 21. So if you see under module 3, then I start breaking it out in a variety of lessons. So you'll provide them this overview, that the lesson will look at how to log in and out of EduPlanet, how to access and navigate the main home dashboard, how to navigate to my plan, to my learning paths, and to the communities. So all you're going to do at that point is, and I'll open up another thing here if I can. How do I get out of that? I know. I know.
So do you think it would be helpful if we have this open and then we have the learning path we're talking about open, like in a window too, and then we could click back and forth?
Toggle back and forth.
Okay.
This is the morning section.
This is the morning. Yep. So if I could open up another tab just for those that I'm recording for, but I can't seem to do it. So here we go. So if you would go on to EduPlanet 21, all you're going to do is live right here on the very front of the dashboard. So you're going to take them across the top, okay, and say, they have that welcome. Okay, if you go into, you can take them to the packet right where it says navigating your home room or your home page, okay, your dashboard, and just take them through that. So when they start, this is your home dashboard. This is where you're going to access all of your learning paths, your Valley Network plan, your communities at the bottom, and how you're going to log in and out. Okay, so we'll start here, like at the top where they click on that welcome, for example. If they click on that down arrow, it will show them their profile. We highly encourage them, because this is a social learning network and that's the whole nature of PLCs, is to build relationships, that they update their profile. You can explain that that's embedded already into their learning path. In Module 1, remember they set up their profile, that they will do that during their learning, but that's really important and not to skip that. My summary report, when they click on that, it will take them to a listing of their learning paths. So it will tell them what learning paths that they have completed or how far that they have progressed in their learning path. So when you click on that, you will see the ones either that you've probably developed or that you've engaged in yourself. So that's just for them to be able to see that, how much seat time that they've completed so far. If it is a learning path that they've completed, it will list it here. It'll say the date that it was completed, and then they can print their certificate. Okay. But again, that's all in the packet, and it's all part of the learning path too, because we talk about the completion report at the beginning in Module 1. Okay. Across the top of your screen where it says support and message, I would tell them not to really utilize those. If they click on support in EduPlanet, it's going to email EduPlanet. Okay, so just refer them back to the front of this packet to contact you by your email if they have any questions or they're having issues. If they're having major issues with EduPlanet, they can contact me, and I'll work through that with them. Okay, and then I'll take them across the top of the what do you call those? The tabs across the top, the home, my content, marketplace, and admin tools. You can tell them they're not going to have admin tools, obviously, because you are all administrators as well. All that you need to show them across the top is that home button. If they ever get embedded or drilled down into something and they're not sure how to get out, just click on that home button. Okay. My plan is just where they're going to click on Valley Network. We'll get to that later. The learning paths is where they can click and drill down into a learning path to engage in that learning. And then My Communities sits at the bottom, and that's where all of the professional learning communities activities will occur. That's all you're saying at this point. To the right, you're just indicating that they are part of IU8's EduPlanet 21 Institute, and currently, right now, we have almost 2,000 members. Okay, and that's it. okay, for that particular one. So back then to module 3, okay, you're going to click next at the bottom, and it's going to go to a file. Now this is just for you to be able to show them it's in their packet, okay? So if they move back a little further in their packet, it'll say EduPlanet 21 Glossary of Terms. In their packet, what I have on here is with any new system, there's a new language. We just want them to become familiar with the language. So for example, instead of it being a course, as we all might know it, it's a learning path in EduPlanet, okay? Sometimes as consultants, we will say asset, only because that's what they're called, but they're really activities and tasks. So you can refer them to this glossary of terms just to look at for now, and it's always going to be available there to them if they're like, wait, what is a learning path again? Or if they get confused between that and a PLC, okay? It's all right there. It also goes down through what a discussion is, what a file is, what a Dropbox is, what reflections are, surveys and activities and assessments, all of those things that you've embedded into a learning path. So you're just going to give them a moment to look at this. Are we good so far? You sure? Okay.
Do they have access to this learning path later then?
Yes. Yep.
And is that part of their required completion?
No, it will just be something that they can access if they want to revisit. They won't get any, yeah, they won't get any credit for it.
The terminology isn't part of copy as well.
Yes, it is. It is after where it says the certificate of completion. It's right after that. So your own copy, you might want to tab. Do you know what I mean? So that you know where you're going to be directing people to. I'm sorry you can't see this up there. I don't understand why that's like that. Okay, and then when you progress to the next page in the learning path, it'll say lesson 2, EduPlanet 21 dashboard. Again, it's just the place that operates just like your car. It's where you're going to go to be able to access everything. It'll automatically route them to their personal dashboard when they log in. So like you will have a different look for your learning paths than Brenda would or myself because we're engaged in different, learning. So on the dashboard, you're able to see a variety of areas that you can access and drill further down into for learning, engaging in discussions, collaborating with peers, accessing and reading articles, files, and so forth. Okay. Okay, so guided navigation. So if you go to, in your syllabus, you'll see underneath lesson 2, and then you'll see kind of this practice as we continue through the rest of the lessons. This is what we'll do. You're going to give them an overview of what you're going to provide a guided navigation for, and then you can use this document to help them. So we'll go back to the dashboard and we're going to drill down then into the plan, my learning path, and then the communities. So you'll see it'll jump directly to lesson 3 with plans. So you'll go back out to EduPlanet and you'll drill down into now the Valley Network plan. Okay. So in here then, you're just going to tell them that the goals that are listed here are the names of the PLCs. You all know that. Then off to the right-hand side is their dashboard. Okay. On the dashboard, this is telling them the total amount of hours that they have, which is 16, that they're going to complete throughout the whole school year between the learning path and the work that they'll do in the PLC. Okay, they don't need to worry about the artifacts and evidence, learning paths, other activities, nothing with that. They don't need to worry about that. Okay.
You don't have to worry about the artifacts, and what's the other thing?
Learning paths and other activities. Those are just additional pieces. All they're worried about right here is this dial. So they're already familiar with this because they've made that selection, okay? And really, you're gonna find all that they're gonna come back to for this is that dial to see how they're progressing, okay? So when they're in here, what you do wanna show them is under the very first goal where it says August 18th, establishing the Valley Network, they are going to go in there, okay? After the day is done, so sometime, after the day is over, they're going to go in here and they're going to enter in their hours. This is the only time that they're going to need to do this because this is the only true face-to-face professional learning that's going to occur this year, okay? Everything else is going to be tracked in EduPlanet. Their learning path, how it has the progress bar at the bottom, that's all tracked in there. The PD planner keeps track of that through that dial, as well as the PLCs, okay?
How many hours will they enter?
Good question. So when they click on this, okay, it's a hyperlink. Now, because I had already put one in there, all they're going to do is it's going to look like this. When you click that edit button, okay, it's going to say hours, and then it's going to have a description box at the bottom, and then they click submit. So all you're going to do is you're probably going to have this because you haven't entered anything in yet either, okay? So where it says actual hours earned, you're going to put 3 hours, and you're going to say morning session on EduPlanet in the description. So they're going to enter 3 hours, and then on the description, just say morning session on EduPlanet. And then they're going to click submit.
When are they to be doing this?
After the day is over. Okay. So you'll show them on there then that there's an AM and a PM. Okay. Once they do that, then this status over here will probably say pending.
Okay.
And then they'll get a check mark. And then that will indicate to them that they've entered the amount of time correctly.
Is that
So-
referenced in here as well?
No, it's not.
They
Not.
have to do it after the day. They don't get to do it that day.
Do you think that's something we should put in there?
Well, because we're telling them to do it, but we're not giving them the opportunity to actually do it for a few hours. And,
Mm-hmm. They might forget how to
and
get in
that's
there.
possible.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Good point. All right. So I should probably write that down.
You'll remember.
Yeah.
Didn't Dave even say there was some computers there that people wanted to change? I don't know.
If they wanted to change.
Didn't he say there were computers over there? I don't remember.
Yeah, he talked about, I think we had a discussion about having computers set up if they wanted to change their PLC. And then remember, we were like, that's way too confusing.
Yeah,
We'll just do it for them. But Brenda has a good point that we are asking them to do this later, and they probably won't do it at the end of the day. Everybody's just going to be exhausted and going home.
Yeah.
So I need to have almost like a menu path. I might let that sit outside of this as like a next steps.
Maybe on like bright green paper or something.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, like after August, 18th, click into my plan Valley Network, click on the August 18th, click on the required activities, enter 3 hours for AM, click submit, enter 3 hours for PM, and click submit. Okay.
And maybe as an extra check, whenever they start getting in the learn paths, we could make a note, welcome everyone, as a reminder if you didn't already do so.
Perfect.
Click in. Not that everyone will see our post, but if we get in there and post quick, you know what I mean, if we post as the team. as
When are
a
they?
reminder.
That's a
when
good
are they
point.
allowed to start working?
They can start right after
Okay.
the 18th. Yep. That's a good point. So the PLC facilitators will provide that additional layer as a discussion feed in the PLC. Just a quick news blast reminder. Are you okay? Okay. Are you sure? Okay. Okay, so that's all you're going to talk about in my plan. Okay, next lesson. My learning paths. So then we're saying in the middle of your dashboard, so they go back out to the home icon, right? In the middle of the dashboard, they'll see my learning paths. This area contains your learning paths that you hold membership. By simply clicking the learning path name, you will enter directly into the learning paths content. So if you click next for the guided navigation, we'll go over how to navigate the learning path, which you guys should already be familiar with that. But what we're going to explain to them is that green check mark and what it means. And that it'll say you are here the next time that you log in, okay? We'll show them how to access the videos, how to access discussion feeds, reflections, where the completed button is, and that it's critical because that's at the bottom of each of those pages and assets, right? How to use the previous and next buttons, and then that they'll be able to see, or they can view members in their cohort. Okay? Do I need to go over those? Do you want me to? You okay? Okay. Okay. Then lesson 5 is the communities. That is situated at the bottom of the dashboard. The area contains a variety of assets that you'll access to collaborate with your PLC. Maybe I should change that word asset. That's my wording. With your PLC team during your action research activities and discussions. Communities will provide you the ability to build a repository of resources, links, and discussion feeds that are shared between you and your team members on the PLC. Additionally, communities affords them the opportunity to share, to form a smaller PLC within the larger PLC, okay? Which is those breakout groups. I know some of you have utilized those, like some of the bigger groups. So for example, a community with 40 individuals across a K-12 grade could be chunked into smaller groupings of individuals such as grade level or by content area or area of interests or just general teaming, okay? You could have as many breakout groups as you want to in a community. So the guided navigation on that is you're going to take them out to your PLC and you'll just go across the top of the screen where it says discussions, links, breakout groups, resources, news feeds, notification preferences, and cohort members. Okay? That's basically all that you're going to tell them at this point about the community. It's just how to get to it, okay, and how they can interact with discussion feeds. They'll pick up on a lot of that because it works the same way as your learning paths, okay, as far as posting and that kind of thing. Any questions with that? Seem to be okay with that? I think in classroom management, you'll see a link in there that I was testing last night. I just wanted to make sure that as a participant, I was able to do that, to share a link. So you'll see one in there like, hey, when I was a former preschool teacher, I love this or whatever. So it's in there. Okay, then the fun stuff that makes everybody nervous is module 4. This is in the PM. So they'll break, for lunch. They'll travel over to Black Lake Valley. And then when you're there, this is when you will enter into module 4. So in your packet, right after this article, I thought that this would be a good place to say, hey, there's an article in there. You'll see it. It's got like this purple font at the top. Then they will go right into the Power PLCs. The rest of the packet is about that, okay? All right, so module 4, the power of professional learning communities, harnessing the power within. Basically what we're going to do, and this is almost like a TOT to you so that you can turn this around. Okay, so you can use any of the language I'm using right now or, reframe it however you want. But what we want to say to them is throughout the ongoing process of a PLC, the team will be able to know and be able to do the following. So you can see all of those listed there. They're all actionable. They'll be able to define what a professional learning community is. Okay, it's not just something that's learned today on the 18th, but that is an ongoing process. They'll identify the PLC process through the 3 big ideas, which you guys will learn today too. They'll apply the 4 critical questions that drive a PLC process. Be a contributing factor to the shift in the structure and culture at the school, because ultimately that's the underlying goal, is that we want to make that shift or that transformation. Be cautious to use the word change. Change makes people very unsettled. So if you say shift or transformation, and process. That we advance the mission and vision of the school. That's what this is all built on. You can, talk to them, and it's in the slides here. Or in the syllabus, taking them back to those 3 ideas: data-driven decision-making, roadmaps to success, all of those things. Engaging in positive horizontal across, grade levels, or, if there's a couple second grades, kindergartens, that kind of thing. And vertical dialogue that is meaningful and action-oriented. Gaining an awareness of how to do professional learning communities. So you can see that I'm front loading the top with all of the whys, then I'm going to the how. Gaining an awareness of the ongoing nature of PLCs and how to maintain momentum and avoid temptation to detour. Okay, because they will be very seductive to detour. They'll fall into this kind of compliance rather than, meaningful engagement of learning. They'll develop team norms, and they will develop SMART goals. Okay. We good so far? Okay, so here is where this is like one piece that you can do on your own. It's a warm-up, okay? Any kind of icebreaker that you want to do. Nothing long, because you don't want to take up a whole lot of time. But some way that they can interact with each other, learn about each other. I've seen people do those, like where you have to go around and find 2 different people that have, shared a vacation destination with you or something like that. You know what I mean? I did an icebreaker one time. I don't know, Melissa, if you were there or not. I don't think so, because it was in preschool, where I asked for volunteers, because you have like 65 people, I asked for volunteers to come up, and I put 7 people in a circle in the room, and they had to volunteer. And I told them that, in a professional learning community, we lean on each other. We depend on each other. So we made them get real close together in a circle, like close together. Okay? And then we said it's all about trust. So what they had to do on the count of 3 was sit down. Mm-hmm. So when they had to be super, super close, right? And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, they all sat down, and they were all sitting on each other's laps. Okay? And
I see a lawsuit.
right? I did this with, actually, at that time, Julie Dell will remember, because she was a teacher at that time, and that training was so much fun. I have pictures of it. It was so much fun.
Preschool teachers, though, versus high school teachers.
Well, that's why you're going to ask volunteers, and you have to tell them if this is something that you want to do, but that they'll be in close proximity to other people. Some
That's
people
really
are
good.
yes, others are like,
They're like, if she's in, I'm out. If
Yeah.
he's in, I'm out.
yeah. Bobby does this with like 100.
Really?
He does it during orientation every year. He'll put all freshmen in this big circle, and they all sit down. They have to take like 2 steps. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it works as long as they're doing it right. So anyway, that's why they have to hug real close together. But anyway, when you sit down, you only leave them there for like 2 seconds, and then they have 1, 2, 3 stand up all at the same time too. But basically, what you're saying is that you can't not let me lean on you. You know what I mean? And I'm depending on you in the front, as well, because if somebody doesn't do that, it's going to crumble to the floor. So you have to, just explain that
We
to
can
them.
do cups with the water.
See?
That'll be
Yeah.
a little safer.
I've done that. That worried me. But
Mhm.
Blindfolded mouse traps.
it's great. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so anything just to kind of warm up, but just be really cognizant of your time. You don't want it to be anything that's like highly involved. Are you guys okay with doing that? Okay. All right.
A 5-minute icebreaker for the big group. So we'll
Yep.
have to think about something.
Yep. Okay. Then the next activity is we're kind of gauging, and this is, remember how I said throughout this whole process, we want to start collecting kind of some documentation. This is one of the pieces that we want to collect, is that on a piece of paper at their desk, it can be on the back of this, this booklet or whatever, allow them 2 minutes to write down what they know about professional learning communities, and that they need to be ready to share their response as you, the facilitator, will post it onto the Padlet, okay? So when you do that, you know how to do that. You just click on the Padlet, the plus sign, and it will start adding those. So when you have them share out, you'll just be typing them in there, and it's gonna put a bunch of posts on here, okay? Be cognizant only to do like 2 or 3 responses, because you have other professional learning communities that are going to be adding to this at the same time, and it'll get cluttered quickly. So only 2 to 3 responses, okay? Just so that we can kind of gauge what their thoughts are. What do they think a PLC is? Good? Next, then we're going to provide them the definition of a PLC, okay? So this is kind of where you talk about that PLCs really has been used in a variety of ways, sometimes correctly, sometimes incorrectly. We don't just do PLCs, okay? It is a process. It's not a program. It's not an initiative. It's not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. It's not your traditional meeting. There might be meetings involved in a PLC. It can take many different shapes depending on what your goals are, or what has formed or what caused the PLC to form. It's a process that calls on an entire school community, such as what they're engaging in right now, for them to engage in ongoing collective inquiry, which is what we're going to, take them through in the afternoon, where they test out what they've learned in a learning path. Okay? Through action research, okay, which a lot of you already have some of that figured out, like Erica, when you were talking to me about, taking them through the physical, process and all of that of a classroom management. That's the action research. So they're doing all of that learning in the learning path. They're testing it out. They're building resources and repositories. They're engaging in meaningful, kind of outside discussions socially through the PLC. All right. So any techniques or strategies that they might be learning in the professional learning community, they might talk about in the PLC. Okay, you might ask them to make some comments there once they've gone through module 1, go over to the PLC and tell us, if you've embedded that throughout a school day, how did you do it? Some of those things, because that's where you want to see that they're actually transferring what they've learned to the classroom.
That's where I'm having a little bit of difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to write a learning path. I don't know how to write the PLC.
Okay.
Like the questions, we know what we want to see in there,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have any of that done, and I don't know how to.
You don't need to, remember?
Okay.
And I think that's what's most unsettling, actually. Melissa and I had that conversation before we came in. With a PLC, you've done your work as the facilitator. You're now just going to be facilitating what they're doing. And I think that's what's unsettling, because we're basically giving them that control to determine now.
So they can just post whatever they want, whenever they want?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
You're going to provide.
Here's
Yeah,
what it
don't.
is.
It's okay.
You can't prepare, but as you see what their needs are, and you can guide them
Mm-hmm.
in that direction to meet their own needs. So when they post questions or concerns, your response might be to ask another question. What do you think? Then they need to answer their own questions.
Because what I was hoping was that after each module, they would post their examples, and we had that was the other thing, the timeline.
Mm-hmm. You're 9 hours. I know.
Because they're not on the same one now, so
Mm-hmm.
because Conemaugh is letting them do it whenever,
Right.
and Blacklick is only on in-service days, they're giving them time, they don't get that day off. So, like, we had something from each module
Mhm.
that we wanted them to focus on for that one.
And that's fine. And that's what we had discussed too. I
Okay.
mean, you have to be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? But know that each of the PLCs are going to progress in a very different way. You know what I mean? So for example, Melissa's group might be following their progression through the syllabus.
Mhm.
Their discussion feeds might prompt her to say, you know what, I have an article on that. I'm
Mhm.
going to put it into the PLC, and then I'm going to send out a question and just say, read this article. And then she can tag that as, okay, how long would it take to read this article? And how long would it take to respond to the question? And then she can track that as part of that 4 hours. It's just going to be it's going to be just
And I
ongoing.
think I don't even know how to get into it.
The community?
Like, yeah, to facilitate it. Like, I know how to facilitate a learning,
Okay.
but I don't know how to get in and facilitate the PLC.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm not.
Really, where you're doing that facilitation is in the discussion feed, which is on the community. Okay, so let me show you. Under, whoops,
We go home,
mm-hmm,
and I click on my communities.
right,
Clustering it, the PLC,
correct.
and
So-
create breakout groups, all that stuff
You've already done. It's already over here. You have breakout groups already. Did you create those?
know, Laura probably did.
Okay. So there's some breakout groups there. I think just in anticipation, if you have elementary teachers that want to, because classroom management looks different there than it does in secondary. That might be why. I don't know why. But across the top here where it says home, discussion, resources, links, news, all of that. If you're going to post something, you're just going to go into discussion,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to see that box come up.
It's just like the learning.
Okay.
And that's where, see how you can choose a file.
Yeah.
Now, if it's out on the web, then it's going to be a link,
Yeah.
which is the one that I just posted about Cephal.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just kind of becoming familiar. And each time that you post or anybody else posts, based on their notification preference that they select, they're going to get that daily ding that says,
Yeah.
hey, Erica added this or whatever.
Okay.
Or, if Melissa is a member and they're only a weekly thing and she's the only one that participated in something during the week, then they'll be able to get that on a Friday or a Monday, whenever it comes in, and see that Melissa actually, as a participant, added something in her or responded.
Does this go to their little circle that fills up with time?
No,
Okay.
that's where we have to keep track on a separate piece of paper. Okay? That's whenever I said, if you're going to post an article, how long is it going to take? Okay?
So, but we wouldn't be tracking every time Brenda posts something. I wouldn't have to be Brenda Calhoun posted something. It
No.
probably took her 2
Only took her
minutes.
3 minutes.
No. But
So
you.
if we wanted to we add an article or something on there
Mhm.
that's timed, and then what if they don't read it?
Well, then you'll see on there.
Okay.
You can't, I wouldn't just post something for the sake of posting and have some kind of action piece to that. But you've got you've got a really big group,
Okay.
but you're going to have to kind of make sure that,
I can see why you're anxious about all those people.
mhm.
Yeah.
But if you have breakout groups and maybe you're watching, the secondary teachers and Brad is watching the elementary teachers, and you're, splitting them that way to make sure that you have your group that you're making sure that they are actually responding and that kind of thing. Okay. So that's why we have multiple leads too. Split that up. Don't weigh that on somebody else. Okay. Is that making sense?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit?
I think probably when people get in there, I'll feel better, but
Okay.
it's just,
It's unnerving because it's not planned.
me, Jen.
I know. It's a learning process for all of us. It's not going to be planned out. You're going to come away from the 18th thinking, oh, awesome. I didn't even really think it was going to go that way. But because of the content areas are so broad, assessment, transform instructional practices, classroom management, those are your wheelhouses. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to, the content is still going to be relevant to whatever comes out during those discussions because you're going to drive that discussion in that way. I'll show you how to do that in here. Okay.
Can you update on the numbers? And, because isn't it just like there's one in meaningful assessment?
They're in the wrong spot, aren't they? It's not
You
like-
are in the wrong spot. You are, well, yeah, because now I think you have like 13 or something like that. Do you have meaningful assessments, a path to intensify a learner's knowledge?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so if you click on that, there should be 21 in there.
Oh, did classroom management go down then?
No.
You were out there, you just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see it now, Jen? Okay.
View numbers.
Yeah, it should say 21 right beside it.
I don't have a number.
No? Okay.
But that's fine. Like it says cohort 8. And then it says view numbers.
I don't see you listed in there. Oh, no, you're in there, Jen Hernking. Let me look at your computer real fast.
Maybe we don't have the same access level that you do.
Oh, you're in the green path. Oh, I'm sorry. You're fine. Oh, well, you've got 8 members in there already.
Yeah, but that's all of us. There's only one
Oh.
that isn't an IU8 member.
Okay, good. So down here where it says meaningful, this is your communities. When you click there, you'll see you have 21 members.
Okay, so that's who we'll have in the afternoon.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Right.
Well, it says 71. That includes us though.
Yeah. And remember, you now have some administrators that are just kind of in there watching.
Yes.
They're not really participating. All right. Okay, so let me go back to the syllabus. Where was I? Definition of the PLC. Right. Right. So, so then you'll see when you click next after the definition in their packets, and for you to be able to show up on the screen is this cultural shift, okay, which is right after that article. So in this, basically what you're showing them is that there's going to be a shift in purpose for professional learning. So, and instead of focusing on teaching, we're going to focus on learning. There will be a shift from a coverage of content for students to demonstration of proficiency. There might be a shift in assessment, which is going to speak to like meaningful assessments. So you're going from infrequent summative assessments to frequent, common, more formative assessments that they'll learn in the learning path. So you don't have to go through all of these shifts, but see which one speaks most to your professional learning community and focus there with your staff. Okay, so using assessment, Jen, is perfect for yours. Everyone can talk about professional development. It's different. We're moving from kind of a standalone training to now more job embedded, blended learning opportunities, collaborative inquiry. Okay. So that's basically all you're doing with that sheet. Just kind of taking a look at it. As you can see, I don't want to overwhelm them too much because it's going to be just a lot of information for them on the 18th, okay? Okay, so next then is we're going to these 3 big ideas. And a PLC, again, is where you're recapping that it's not a program. It's not something that's added on to an existing structure or culture, but an ongoing process that will transform existing cultures and mindsets on learning or professional learning or student learning, okay? Excuse me, the PLC process is wrapped into 3 big ideas. How we learn as adults, that we will have a collaborative culture and that it's results oriented. That's that I keep saying about the product. Okay, so whatever they're going to walk away with. Okay, it's not just engaging in a course or a learning path. It's what is actually resulting in the classroom. What's coming back, you know, from their learning. What's transforming. Okay. Another thing you can say is, throughout the PLC process, they will be creating systems that allow them to consistently engage in collective inquiry through the PLC. So that consistent engagement of collective inquiry through the PLC is very different for them. They're used to a day at the beginning of the school year, sit and get, and I'm done. I just gained my 6 hours. This is a consistent engagement. Okay. Okay. In their packet, there's an activity called Laying the Foundation. This, again, is another piece of information for us as professional learning facilitators to gauge where they are in their thinking and in their culture. So there are, let's see, 3 documents, okay? It says Professional Learning Communities at Work Continuum Laying the Foundation, front and back. Sorry, that flips like that. I don't want it to do that. And then the next one says Effective Communication. It's just like one sheet, front and back, okay? Their directions are at the top. They're going to do this individually on their own, okay? So, and then they're going to tear this out of their packet and leave it with you, okay? So I say that at the top that they're going to take 5 minutes to review the document, laying the foundation, and I need to add in their effective communication. Follow the directions at the top. These are completely anonymous. They do not need to put their names on this. However, they will be collected by you, the learning facilitator, once they've completed the form. The purpose of this activity is to pre-assess the current structure and culture of their school through their eyes. Okay? So the directions say, individually, silently, and honestly as possible, assess the current reality of your school's implementation of each indicator listed in the left column. Consider what evidence or anecdotes support your assessment. This form may also be used to assess district or team implementation. Okay, so the question is, we have a clear sense of our collective purpose, the school we are attempting to create to achieve that purpose, the commitments we must make and honor to become that school, and the specific goals that will help monitor our progress. Indicator number 1, and you're probably not going to get good results on this, and that's expected.
Do we want them to designate their school on these though?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
I think it'd be nice if we could.
Yeah, so good point. Can I just edit this page right here?
Put a BB or something.
Yeah, just.
Yeah.
Wonder if that could be printed differently too. I think that's hard to read.
Yeah.
Blue.
This blue. It's a reproducible.
What if we just didn't print a color of it? Easier?
Oh, black and white.
Unless it
I
was
could.
gray, but just something to think about.
I can-
I think
You can
it's
choose black and white, not grays.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then maybe I could increase the, so we'll make this black.
Look at us yelling over here.
Okay, so black and white. Let me change this. Take 5 minutes to review the document. Laying foundation and effective communication. Follow the directions at the top. Everything will be collected. Please make sure you indicate your district at the top with BV or CV.
Would it be better if this could be a different handout instead of inside the packet?
It could. We could have it.
Them back.
Yep, we could have it sit
Otherwise,
outside.
They're gonna get separated and everything.
We can have it sit outside. Okay. Yeah,
Especially if she's gonna find it.
Yeah,
you're right.
and it's 3 pages. Oh, no, it's not. I was thinking it was 3 pages, but it's not. Still.
Okay. So the indicator, it's just going to ask them their shared mission. Is it evident that learning for all is our core purpose? So are they in the pre-initiating phase? Are they initiating, implementing, developing, sustaining? What I would have them do is either they should have pens, but if you have highlighters and stuff, take highlighters with you. They could highlight that, and then it's easier for you to say, okay, so this person from Conemaugh Valley thinks that they're in the pre-initiating phase of a shared mission. Okay.
Yeah, this is 1 of 2, 2 of 2, and 3 of 3. Is that correct?
Correct. The first
Okay.
one where it says laying foundation, that's like a separate continuum. And then effective communication is its own continuum. That's why it's page 1 of 2. But they're just going to do it all together. Okay. So they'll do shared mission. Then they'll look at shared vision and determine where they are, where they feel they are. Collective commitments, shared values, common school goals. Hopefully we'll get a better rating on that simply because we've talked to them about those 3 goals for a while. And then they'll do the same thing for effective communication. Okay. I picked these 2. There are multiple of these out on the Solution Tree website, but I picked these because number 1, we are starting and we're kicking off the PLC, but number 2, communication, no matter where you are, is an issue. And it's going to become a real huge issue if we can't go back to their administrators and say, you have to give them a better opportunity to communicate. Okay. So take, go ahead.
I see the numbers on the pages now. I
Okay.
wasn't looking at them correctly.
Okay. All right, so let me just update that. Okay. Okay, so that's all they're going to do there, and we'll set that outside of the packet. Then number 4 talks about the 4 critical questions that are really that thing that you kind of keep at the front of your mind through any PLC process. So the 4 critical questions are, what is expecting, and this is priming them for their SMART goals. Okay, this is helping them to start putting those gears in place. What is it we expect them to learn? Students, not the adults. What do we expect them to learn as it applies to your PLC? How will we know when they've learned? How will we respond when they don't learn? How will we respond when they already know? So apply that to instructional practices, future-ready learners, classroom management. They're going to think, pair, share a total of about 10 minutes, okay? And that's listed on the discussion feed there.
Are we displaying this like a PowerPoint on our screen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're presenting, we'll have this is our PowerPoint, our thing.
Right. Yeah. So do those 4 critical questions make sense? Okay. Sure. So think, pair, and then share out. Give them about 10 minutes for that. That's going to help them. And then another thing that you can say is like, what brought you here? What made you select this particular professional learning community? Something made them select it. If you start getting answers like, well, I don't know, I just picked one. You know, we have to try to dig a little deeper. Like, tell me, something that has, and you'll see that on that other sheet that I handed out here where it says team SMART goal setting. What is our team's current reality? What is your current reality with regard to assessment? Are you here because you're not quite sure how to take assessment? How does assessment really truly inform my instruction, and so forth? So you're going to take them through this process when they're developing their SMART goals. Okay, so you got to keep it kind of moving along here. The activity here, I just said joint district goals. I just wanted to list those 3 points again, data-driven decision-making, successful or roadmaps to success, just to keep bringing those to the forefront so that they kind of roll off their tongue. Then we'll do the SMART goal activity, which is this. No, that's not supposed to be there. Sorry. Where did my norms go? Did it drop it for me or? Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted norms first and then SNARKLs. Sorry about that. Can you refresh your pages? Sorry. Okay, so these will be your last two activities. You're going to take them into the norms in their packet. It will give them a why. Why should we create norms? Because you're going to get a little bit of feedback from that. I would anticipate that you will. They'll be like, why do we have to like set rules for ourselves? There's a reason why. Have them read this document. Why should we create norms? We're on the last two activities, Brenda. So they're just going to read down through some of these, comments here. Teams improve their ability to grapple with the critical questions when they clarify the norms that will guide their work. These collective commitments represent the promise we make to ourselves and the others within our group, promises that underpin two critical aspects of teams: commitment and trust. Okay? Now, you should have a document that will walk you through the development of norms. Don't freak out because it says the time that it would take to do this is 2 hours. Okay? You're going to do it in like a half hour. All right? I'm flexible on this. Just know what's going to help you to develop a norm. So take just a moment before I talk about it, just to kind of look at this document. Okay? Did I hand this out to everybody? Okay. You can use whatever supplies you want. It lists supplies. It's just like a lesson plan. Where it says provide examples of norms, I can read a few of these off to you just for some examples, and then you can select which one you want. So sometimes when you're creating professional learning communities, there will be challenges around risk. People don't want to take risks. They want to stay safe, okay? You'll have issues with culture. You might have issues with data. Okay, whether it's they don't know how to read the data or they don't know how to collect the data to make any kind of informed decisions. They don't want to take time to celebrate. So some of those things are critical pieces of a PLC. But for example, these are some challenges like it's too risky. So a norm might be that we will change whatever needs changing when it needs changing. So change whatever needs changing when it needs changing. So like we won't just like ignore it. We will actually tackle it. We will take those risks because it draws back to our mission and vision. Here's another one for risk. Base all decisions on student needs, not adult convenience. So, through this process, we are reigniting their passion for teaching. Base all decisions on student needs, not adult convenience. Okay, here's another one. Be patient, but be relentless with your focus. Be patient, but be relentless with your focus. So there's that stamina and grit throughout the process. Here's another challenge for culture. This would be a good norm. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Okay, here's one for data, a norm. Be willing to see the real picture the data shows, no matter how ugly it is. Be willing to see the real picture the data shows, no matter how ugly it is. Here's another one. Know the truth about what your students need, what they truly need. Know the truth about what your students need. Here's some additional ones more about culture, about kind of like your touchy-feely stuff. This is actually a quote, okay? So you can put all of this together, it is a quote. So you can post these like on a big Post-it note, like here are some examples or something like that. There's a whiteboard in the room, you know, it's up to you. Care more, I'll read it first and then you guys can write it down if you want to. Care more than others think is wise. Risk more than others think is safe. Dream more than others think is practical. Expect more than others think is possible. It's anonymous, so I can read it out again if you want to. Care more than others think is wise. Risk more than others think is safe. Dream more than others think is practical. Expect more than others think is possible. So these norms really are our promises, okay, to the others that are within the PLC that are going to really help to kind of mold and keep our PLC on track and accountable, you know, to everyone. So it's that commitment. Okay. So you'll develop norms. I would probably keep them to 3 to 5 norms, something like that, that everyone agrees on. This process will take them through it. If you don't approach it this way, that's fine, but just kind of have that same, you know, thread of how to develop a norm, okay? And you won't hand this out. This is just for you, obviously, okay? And then the last piece is, and you may not get through it, and that's okay, is the SMART goals. So what you're going to do is use this planning document, okay? I can give them this, or it can just sit with you. I mean, that's up to you, how you want to break this out. But what you want to gain from them is their current reality. So you will probably be able to get some of that through that the foundation document and the effective communication. But you really want to know areas of strength that they bring to the table, because you want to be able to leverage that in the PLC. If somebody's really good at assessment, you want to know who they are, because you want them to now be part of that kind of leading the charge, okay? And potential areas of focus, not needs, not weaknesses. We need to change their language. It's potential areas of focus. Based upon the current reality, we've identified the following areas of focus to improve student learning. So I would do that collectively as a group, okay? Or because you have big groups, have smaller groups do that, and then maybe do like a gallery walk or something like that so that they can see what that looks like. We have collectively created the following SMART goals to address the area of focus, okay? You can, this is really, you might have people that will want to kind of individual, because their situation is so unique. Like you're going to have somebody that's going to come and say, I've got this 6-year-old in my classroom that's exactly why I'm here. I don't really, care about anything else. I want to be able to just deal with him. I don't know. Do we want to do collective SMART goals, or do you want to do them individually, like per teacher? I would say probably collectively. Like yours is going to be it's pretty well laid out for them. What about the other teams? What do you think? Collective? Okay. So maybe you'll identify like 2 goals.
And these all relate back to the learning path.
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's all we're going to do at that point. We're just going to set the goals up. Okay. We're not going to dig into them any further, because that's when I think as a team, we need to come back and say, okay, like this is what the PLC came up with. These are the goals. And then we're going to work through that here together. They're just going to set them there. Okay. So we're not going to worry about, this is just for you to have, because these will be our next steps of what activities will be initiated in the PLC. Okay, you already have your learning path done. What steps are we going to take in the PLC to meet those goals? Okay, who will be responsible for what, both as our own PLC team, okay, and if you have breakout groups or whatever, you might start thinking in your mind how you might pair people, okay, or set up those groups. And what is a realistic time frame for each of the activities or steps that you might take them through. This is the unnerving part, I know, because it's not known. It's not known. We're not going to know until they set up these SMART goals. Okay, so just let that settle with you that it's okay. Okay, and that's it. We end the day.
We had a little, because we cut out one of the modules for time things, so we needed to cover a little bit about function-based thinking to kind of kick it off. So can
Okay.
we take 30 minutes and do that?
Mhm.
That's kind of critical. It's a critical foundation for the other pieces of classroom management.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have that on the palette, but I'm cutting out like activities for that, so I wasn't sure.
Yep. You'll have time.
Okay. Yeah, that has that down.
And it's all going to be, I'm hoping that they get to Blacklick Valley on time. I hope that they get into those classrooms. I'm not anticipating that. It is my hope. But once they get in there, you have to go. You have to start moving through, get yourself set up, have the actual embarking on new horizons on one side, and you're toggling through to the other one. Okay. Is this okay? Other than what we're going to do, I am going to my next steps, I'll create that menu path for staff to be able to go back into August 18th and log those hours. I'm going to pull out, all of you are going to bring sign-in sheets for your sessions that's going to ask them for their name and their email. Okay. Brenda, you'll float during EduPlanet overview over to wherever Jen Hernkane will be. I'll get that information from Dave Lehman in the morning, where our PLCs will be pulled out to, and then also for Blacklick Valley in the PM. Okay, I'll try to get that information to you as soon as possible. Our learning facilitator information is correct. Okay.
Does everybody have a picture? I don't think everybody has pictures of our people. in the comment.
No, they don't. Like Jen, you need to upload yours. Laura doesn't either. I noticed that. Yeah, make sure that because you'll scroll at the top of these, okay?
Smile. Nobody wants to do that. Can you see that big ugly black and white?
If you want your professional one, I can send it to you too. I mean, that's up to you. I have all of those on my computer. Yeah.
The only other thing, Jen, is when to have, the structure for the learning path was working on this module this month throughout the year. What should we do about that? I'm gonna have to take, 'cause that was the last thing on our quality assurance, because I was gonna have a document like the recommended times for them to engage. But and then like that it would be open and then without, they needed to be done with it and move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Like no longer visible, but I don't even know what to do about that. Since
I
they're
think-
not working, since they don't both just get to, you work on this month, since
Mhm.
he still is having his people do it at in-service. So they're gonna have 2 in-service in 1 month. And then
Right.
1 or 2. So how do we open up a whole learning path? I mean, make everything visible, because some people will plow through. What do we do?
I know, I hope that they wouldn't. Here's what I would do. I would plan to give that out as a highly recommended timeline, okay? And then maybe just put that at the top of your document. This is highly recommended. However, we are cognizant that, the districts may take, I don't know what wording we would use without like
Or
offending.
taking different approaches.
Yes.
We don't want to say Conemaugh Valley gets an extra day off.
Right.
Like, as if they have a lot about that already.
They'll find
Right.
out, they'll find out, but we don't want to be the ones to let
Right. Right. So I would still be ready with it because you do want to give them some kind of framework. Do the rest of the teams have that as like suggested throughout the school year? Like August and September, they would go through module or whatever. Okay. Do you think that you could do that before Thursday, Wednesday, whenever we're there? Thursday.
I can even mail the template out to the team
Could you?
if you want.
That'd be great. That way then it's kind of uniform. I did the same thing for the paraeducator suite. I gave a recommended timeline that they would progress through each of those, but I'm also cognizant that, and I put that in there, that districts, because of some face-to-face opportunities that they've provided to them, they may only need to access 8 hours worth of time. So it's really at the discretion of, the district for paras. But I did have that timeline in there for them.
So we want do we want to assign a timeline?
I would, a highly recommended timeline. Yeah,
They could be done with their PLC September 10th.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm done for the year.
and that's,
I'm not doing this ongoing learning. I did every module. I posted something. I'm not working on it the rest of the year.
and those will have to be discussions if we do find that, you know what I mean? If they do that, they're going to be so disjointed in the PLC, I
We
think.
want to pre-correct that.
Yeah,
We want to pre-correct that whenever, it's very tempting. You could go through, but this is to be ongoing, and if you do that, you're really going to miss out on a lot of ideas that your colleagues may have that can help you with this.
right. It's one of those seductive detours. It's just compliance. Get it done. Completion and compliance is where they are. That's going to be so hard to shift that. And you can talk about that in that cultural shift for professional learning. It's not that, this is, it's a higher meaning. It's taking them to a whole different, level of thinking. So how are you feeling? Feeling okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Are you sure? Okay. What else can I do to help?
I think that's all. I'll ask you 5 questions.
Okay.
I think with Brad missing a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
That's all. Because he'll be like, well, what's that? I'm like, I don't know. This is just what I have in my notes. Just do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll try to follow up with him next week as well, and he'll get the
Okay.
recording.
Oh, okay, the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And that for those that are not here, I'll put that in the email. It's really important that they watch it as soon as practicable in the event that they have any questions, and it gives them time to
Yeah.
text with you, meet with you face to face or whatever, so that we don't want to fall apart when we get there. I don't think that we will
No.
at all. You guys have to have confidence in yourselves that you know EduPlanet inside and out. What's unnerving at this point is the PLCs. It just doesn't, because it's not how we typically approach, learning. We're learning at the same time as they are, So, and I get that.
They sit down and kind of go through a little bit of a plan then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it'll go through.
It's going to go fast. I know. But you have 3 hours, 12:30 to 3:30.
That's a long content.
Yeah. But remember too that and don't be upset if you don't get to SMART goals. We'll just facilitate it in a different way. We'll do it through the PLC in a way. Okay. I really would want them to get through norms though, because that can get a little sticky. You know what I mean? Because then they don't quite understand what's going on. But if you don't quite get to SMART goals, it's all right. Know that it's a process and it happens throughout the year. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.